you can't be president of the U.S. Last time I checked, right? But assume you are.
Not officially.
Not officially. Okay, so you're the unofficial president. So if you were, well, you can't be president of the U.S. Last time I checked, right? But assume you are.
Not officially.
Not officially. Okay, so you're the unofficial president. So if you were.
Another unhinged Donald Trump Christmas Day post. Merry Christmas to all, including the wonderful soldiers of China who are lovingly but illegally operating the Panama Canal, where we lost 38,000 people in its building 110 years ago. Quick side note, that's not true. Only about 5,000 Americans died over a 5-year period building the Panama Canal, and it was mostly due to yellow fever and malaria. Anyway, let's keep reading. Always making certain that the United States puts in billions of dollars in repair money. Side note for anyone taking their grammar lessons from Trump, billions should not be capitalized. Second side note, Panama pays for all the repairs of the Panama Canal. That's why they own it. The last repair job was done in 2016. It cost $5 billion. Panama paid for the entire thing. Moving on again. Also to Governor Justin Trudeau of Canada, whose citizens' taxes are far too high, but if Canada was to become our 51st state, their taxes would be cut by more than 60%. Wrong again, the average Canadian pays 4% more than we do in taxes, not 60. Their businesses would immediately double in size. What the fuck are you talking about? No, they would not. And they would be militarily protected like no other country anywhere in the world. That may be the only true thing he wrote in here. Likewise, Merry Christmas to the people of Greenland, which is needed by the United States for national security purposes and who want the US to be there, and we will. This is also wrong given that Denmark, the current country that owns Greenland, has said pretty much, go fuck yourself, it's ours, we have zero.
Well, you can't be president of the US last time I checked, right? But assume you are.
Not officially.
Not officially. Okay, so you're the
Welcome. Don't let it be known. It'll be official in a few days, right? But January 20th, you guys, I can envision you enjoying your day off yesterday, probably celebrating the holiday and doing all, eating and exchanging your gifts and all that, and then you hear President-elect Donald Trump has a message, has a holiday message for everybody. We're going to talk about that this morning. There's a few other things going on as well. The big guy is with us this morning watching Mark Mahoney, Brave Bird 31. I did not know that was his handle, Greer. Brave Bird 31. If you guys, I think David Youngblood knows Mark. Brave Bird 31. Just I could think of a few other things, good things, of course, to describe Mark Mahoney. But Brave Bird 31. I mean, I would imagine he's a brave dude, but it's good to have the Dream in Color Photography CEO watching. Let it be known this morning. Y'all got to check out his photos. He knows what he's doing with that camera. Dream in Color Photography. That's Mark Mahoney for you guys. A group of 21 House Democrats signed a letter urging the president to exonerate a certain civil rights leader. We're going to talk about who that is and why it's important. The IRS is sending a total of $2.4 billion in special payments, billion with a small b, to 1 million people. It's part of an effort to ensure that Americans who didn't receive all of their stimulus checks during the pandemic get their money in the bank. How about that? Biden said something interesting about having his name on the stimulus check as well. He said, he should have thought of that. What is he, nuts? Why are you saying that now? But anyway, I digress. And Trump, on his holiday message, his Christmas Day message, he not only also he did a lot of things. He also tried to go in on Obama, but folks have been shooting back hard, and not the politicians, but the memes. They are off the chain, and he is fuming right now. And one of his posts showed how angry he really is. And also, Biden has vetoed bipartisan legislation that would have created like 60 something new federal judge positions. He's like, anything I can do to keep that guy that's coming into office from appointing judges, I'm going to do. And so we're going to talk about all that this morning. And for those who tuned in yesterday at noon, expecting an entirely uh, different show, again, there are some legal issues that we face. Not I won't say legal issues, but there are some social media issues that they want certain things in writing. So Greer's been handling all of that. She's one person. So she's been handling all of that, and we're going to be bringing you what we promised to bring you very, very shortly. Once we get that taken care of, but it's listen. I know it's been a build up to it, and if you are a fan of not just Michael Jackson, but a fan of music, a fan of Black culture, then you're going to be interested in this. And if you're not a fan of Michael Jackson, I think you'll be interested in, because one of the undeniable things about Michael is the fact that he did change the culture. There's no question about it. He changed the culture. So um, we're going to bring that to you as soon as we can get the proper things straightened out there. So and so we'll have that for you. In the meantime, David Youngblood says, "Thank God Biden vetoed the expanded judges bill, but it's only going to come back, right? David, it's only going to come back in this particular Congress, and the Republicans have control of both houses starting this coming month. So we'll see how that goes. But a group of 21 House Democrats signed a letter urging the president to exonerate former civil rights leader Marcus Garvey. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke led the panel of lawmakers, mostly from the Congressional Black Caucus, to exonerate Marcus Garvey on the heels of President Biden's commutation of 37 sentences from federal death row on this week, I should say. Garvey, one of the earliest internationally known Black civil rights leaders, was convicted of mail fraud in 1923 and was given a 5-year sentence, according to a letter sent to Biden from the Congress members. And they are really pushing for it because they noted that President Calvin Coolidge did pardon Garvey 2 years into his sentence, but Garvey was immediately deported to his birth country of Jamaica. And the letter to Biden says exonerating Garvey would honor his work for the Black community, remove the shadow of an unjust conviction, and further this administration's promise to advance racial justice. They say at a time when Black history faces the threat of erasure by radical state legislatures, a presidential pardon for Mr. Garvey would create the historical record or correct the historical record and restore the legacy of an American hero. It's been decades that they've been trying to clear Marcus Garvey's names. Congressman John Conyers had led hearings in 1987 for the House Judiciary Committee on Garvey's exoneration. Congressman Charles Rangel of New York had introduced resolutions including alleged injustices against the former civil rights leader in 2004. And they say exactly 101 years ago, Garvey was convicted of mail fraud in a case that was marred by prosecutorial and governmental misconduct. The evidence paints an abundantly clear narrative that the charges against Garvey were not only fabricated, but also targeted to criminalize, discredit, and silence him as a civil rights leader. We know the story of Marcus Garvey. He was born in Jamaica in 1887, a notable Pan-Africanist, believing that people of African descent around the world should be unified because of their alleged common interests. Garvey was the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, which was created to challenge racial inequity. He also, that organization championed self-determination and economic independence for Black people at a time when Jim Crow oppressed African Americans. So Garvey really stood out. He also established the Black Star Line, one of the first Black-owned shipping companies in the Western Hemisphere. He connected Black businesses across the Americas, and he eventually wanted to route the vessels to Africa for a redemption program. He wanted to establish a nation for those who were born into slavery or were the descendants of enslaved people. He also created the Negro World newspaper, which at its peak reached a circulation of 200,000 readers weekly. Marcus Garvey. Um, Here we are still talking about him because that's a legacy you can't deny. Oren G says Biden spared the life of one of New Orleans' most horrible, police officers ever. He calls him RoboCop. Glenn Davis. He was on death row for killing Kim Graves, a Black woman in New Orleans in 1992. Biden is wrong, Oren G says. Ty Richardson. And you have people like this, and Ty Richardson is one of them, who says, please explain how exonerating Marcus Garvey will help his particular life. Sometimes it's not just about us, Ty, right? It's not just about us personally. Um, I get where you're coming from on this injustice. We see so much of it going on every single day, and we need something that's going to have, we want things that's going to have an immediate effect on us. But I think part of it is what those lawmakers wrote in there. You see that we continue to face a situation where everyone in power, at least the majority in power now, will be trying to or continue to try erase our history. And it's undeniable what Marcus Garvey contributed to our culture. So, some will argue with you and some will argue against that. But hey, I get it. I get why folks feel that way. Um, and Ty says, I get it, but we got bigger issues. And this is what I'm speaking to, that folks will say. And we get that very much. Get that very much. So in other words, Ty is saying that should not be a priority. And I'm not sure that it's a priority over these other things. I think that this is just one of so many things that folks would like to see corrected. And yes, boy, oh boy, do we have some pressing issues. It's so interesting because I saw Washington Informer, Denise Rolock Barnes. They do their show every Friday. Let's Talk, and they were running some various shows this week. It's a holiday, and they probably not doing anything live, but they've been running some shows. And they ran an old show in which from earlier this year, back in I guess it was from June, and and I was on the show, and I was watching myself talk about, at the time it was this talk Biden had totally imploded at the debate with Trump. And I was saying at that time to Denise in an interview on Let's Talk, which airs Fridays at noon, that it is too late. No matter who they put up, it's going to be too late. They need to figure out how to go forward with this election with Biden in place, because they're going to hand this over to Kamala Harris, and it's going to be too late. If they would have started with her, she could beat Trump. But they started too late. This whole fundraising apparatus or whatever. I was amazed that sometimes I get stuff right, even when I don't want to be right. So, um, but at the time, and now even more so, uh, one of the part of the discussion was how they are attempting to erase Black history. And so all of this ties in to what we're talking about here, Ty. Um, Orange says Miss Kim has 4 kids that still lives here. Oh, okay. Talking about, yeah, the going back to Glenn Davis, the what they call the RoboCop, who was on death row for killing Kim. Um, Andrew Connolly said, "Let's get real. Biden should give a preemptive pardon to Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton." Now, I'm not sure why Jesse or Al, neither one. I don't. And Angela, could you explain that more? Why would they need a pardon? Jesse Jackson, unfortunately, is not the same Jesse Jackson that we have known for years, and not sure what Al Sharpton may have done, um, or what he could be accused of doing by the Trump Department of Justice. But maybe you can explain that. Um, Ty Richardson says, "I get it. We have bigger issues they need to fight for, and why we are sending them there." David Youngblood says they can walk and chew gum at the same time. Trump pardoned Jack Johnson, RNG says, and nobody complained. Um, Mike V says, "Hey Ty, Mike V says he'd like to hear from you what the priorities should be over the next 3 weeks that we have left in power." Yeah, that would be a good. What are the priorities from all of you? What would you put as the priorities? I see what Andrew Connolly is saying and Michelle Madison. Everyone, can't name you all, but all of you. I'll try and lift up as many comments as possible. What should be over the next 3 weeks from your point of view? And not just Ty. I certainly want to hear from Ty, but what should be the priority over the next 3 weeks? Um, yeah, let's take a roll. Let's take a run at it, I should say. Um, yeah. So Angela says Trump is going to go for any civil rights talking piece, but the problem is, Angela, I think if this is what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong. So one of the things that we talked about that's going to be um, a problem, and Al Sharpton he was on this show just about a month ago, and he talked about this march that they plan on January 20th. That type of freedom is what is going to be abolished. Being able to peacefully march and demonstrate. The incoming administration has already talked about that, right? So it's something that hasn't happened. And if Sharpton does that on January 20th and after January 20th, it's under Trump's administration. So he'd have to answer to that administration. Biden cannot say on anything you do after January 20th, I'm pardoned. He can't do that. Um, at least I don't think he can do that. When they say these preemptive pardons, it has to be something like a Benny Thompson and Liz Cheney and those folks who worked on that commission that Trump has explicitly said that he's going after, and he has named some alleged crimes that they've committed. And so, for instance, Trump may say and has indicated that Liz Cheney has committed some sort of treason. So Biden can say, I'm going to pardon her for anything up until, um, it's like with his son, it was like 11-year period of pardon, but it can't be in the future. It has to be something that may have been committed already, if you follow me. Ty Richardson's list, he says, from Biden, his priority is for him to do nothing. Name one bill that Biden passed in his history that helped the people. That's unfair, Ty. That's, that is a little unfair. Because he has certainly we look at the what's oh boy, the bipartisan oh boy, infrastructure bill, which in fact, the infrastructure bill is something that you're going to be seeing, and Trump's going to take. That's the problem. So he's going to take credit for it because you're going to see so many improvements in your neighborhoods to roads and railroads and so many different um, infrastructure things that create money. Um, He's like, name one. That's unfair to I come on. Um, Biden has done. Listen. We've talked about in this program. He has done a lot. We've criticized him for the obvious things that he has not done, but he has done quite a bit. So, RNG says pardons and signs as many executive orders as possible. Make Trump go public and reverse any executive order that involves civil rights. I get that too, and I don't think that's a problem for Trump. He listen. Donald Trump could care less about how things look. He could care less when it comes to overturning this or that. And we're gonna get into his post in a moment because his posting tells you a lot about him. And that this guy, you cannot shame him in any way to do something that he doesn't want to do. But nonetheless, Michelle says the priority over the next few weeks should be to pardon those who were unjustly treated, legally protest, hashtag Project 2025, and pray, in my opinion. Okay, so we're talking about pardons. That's important to those individuals involved in their families. But what about everyone else? Give me some priorities for the next 3 weeks. Can that be anything that he does in the next 3 weeks with a favorable Congress right now, a favorable Senate anyway? Chips and Science Act, right, for HBCUs with millions of dollars invested. These are other things, Ty Richardson, that Mike V is mentioning. Millions of dollars invested at bringing HBCUs up to R1 status, giving Black folks access to $1 trillion industry. SBA funding for Black businesses doubled. Um, so yeah, double over the Biden administration compared to the Trump administration. So those are other things, but I mean, I still get Ty's point. Sometimes you feel like, okay, all that other stuff, it really means nothing. Give me something that I can put my hands on, that I can reach out and touch. That's pretty much how a lot of us are. It's like somebody giving you an IOU. No, I won't give me the money. I want to touch that money. Don't give me an IOU. Quinn says reparations would be nice. That is never happening. And I get it, Quinn. We have to let it go. We have to let that one go. Unless, and see, here's how reparations is going to come about, in my opinion. If we finally, we had that discussion the other day, how these so-called foundational Black Americans are going after Fat Joe, and whether they right or wrong, that's not even a point. But Black folks finally have to make a choice, make a decision. Black folks have to say, you know what? We look at other folks and how, whether they like each other or not, when they want to get something done, they come together. They put their own personal interests aside for the interests of the whole. Like think about the white women who vote against Black interests, even though it's also against their own interests. Black folks ever going to have some meaningful, it has to come from within. And reparations can actually come from within because we're not going to get it from them. The only way we get it from them if we get it from each other, if that makes sense. That means truly coming together. That means that all of our billionaires and millionaires and folks with status, you got to team up. You have to team up. I was watching, much to the chagrin of RNG, watching the Knicks game yesterday. Knicks won, of course, and that makes him even more upset. And they were showing what they were doing for folks for Christmas. And one of their players who had an absolute enormous game yesterday, Mikal Bridges, he scored like 42 points yesterday. They profiled him. He was one of the players they profiled, and he had taken these single mothers, Black mothers, shopping for Christmas. And he bought them all of this stuff, also gave them money, and then invited them and gave them a private box at the Garden for the game and their family. And he also at the game, to add to it, He gave them $1,000 gift cards again. And he said he was born and raised he was born into a single family, single mother household. And he saw what his mother went through. And he was the only child, but he still saw the struggle. And so when they approached him to say, hey, the Knicks, the tradition, the NBA, not just the Knicks, but the NBA is a tradition. We look for things that we want to give back to. And he immediately said, single mothers. Let's find me a group that where I could find single mothers, an organization that does stuff for single mothers or whatever. So it's that idea. And he didn't just stop at just taking them shopping. They showed a video of Jalen Brunson taking some folks shopping, but he also gave his time. He spent a day with them. Then he bought a box at the Garden so they can see the game and gave them money, gift cards, etc. So the point is, it shouldn't be done once a year. We got to figure out how we could do it every day. It's the community thing. It's a community thing. I know it sounds like it's romanticizing, but that's the only way we're going to really get any type of reparations. We got to start within. This is, at least that's what I believe. Mark Mahoney says more judge appointments could be useful. Angela Collins says prioritize our food supply delivery from the ports. And it's interesting because the bill that passed to keep the government open included funding for the Key Bridge in Baltimore. That port there, so important. We know what happened there. Michelle Madison, I'm totally with you on this one. She says publicly and monetarily support the Black press, the NNPA. You know we're with you. Trixie says lowering rent, lowering food, and giving us more money. Rent is just out of this world. It's just hard, especially in New York, in places like New York. I love New York City. I want to live in New York City again, but I mean, I don't want to live in a studio apartment where I'm paying $4,000 a month for it, though. I just can't do that. The rent is way out of control, and there's no. So I'm with you on that, Trixie. It's there needs to be some sort of regulation there. Orange says some Black people will never be happy. They will complain about Biden all day, but they will be quiet about Trump. Well, why is that? Well, part of it is that folks, I think, Orange get exasperated because there are some obvious things. Now so the judge thing, right? For instance, he vetoed that. But when he had the opportunity, why didn't he expand the Supreme Court? When they had the opportunity, why didn't they get rid of the filibuster to make certain things happen? Mike V says they want Democrats to do reparations while Republicans get to block it, and affirmative action and DEI legislation. What planet are folks from? Ed Bloom is suing Governor Hochul for reparations that haven't even passed yet. That's another good point that I can't disagree with Mike V there. When Democrats do have the White House and the Congress, folks do tend to expect more from Democrats than Republicans than they do from Republicans. They don't get on Republicans enough about it. And it's the Republicans who are destroying and have taken away, like he said, affirmative action, DEI, Roe v. Wade, all that stuff. So that's a good point. It's a good point. It's an interesting discussion going on between RNG, Mike V, and Ty. Ty said he sat out that election. RNG says he refused to talk to anyone who did not vote. So David Youngblood says we do not need 60 new, young, unqualified white nationalist, strict constructionist judges. Yes, Mike V. Trump is going to. I love these comments. I know he's going to get to some more news, but these comments are really, they're as the kids say, they're sending me. Trump is going to take credit for the bridge rebuilding in Baltimore that Biden facilitated while calling Governor Westmore and Mayor Brandon Scott DE&I hires this year. Yeah, I know Christian Sinema and Joe Manchin and that filibuster situation, but I also don't believe that there was enough pressure from Biden and the Democrats on Manchin and Sinema. It's like at some point, and he's already done the whole 360 on you anyway, and you knew he would. But at some point, you call him out and you put the pressure on him. If he wants to change hats officially, publicly, and say I'm a Republican, then make him do it. That was the problem I had with Biden and other Democrats at that time. Oh, leave Manchin alone. He's got, we don't want to lose his vote. You lost his vote. And it's true. David Youngblood, Joe Manchin was never a friend to black folks. And he shows that every day, even now, more so. But this kid gloves, that's what Trump and his folks don't do. They don't they could be 100% wrong on something, but they don't do it with kid gloves. And that's the problem that forever Democrats have been having. It seems like forever anyway. They're soft. They are soft and too passive. And when they tried to turn the heat up, it was just too late. Going back to what I was saying about the Let's Talk appearance, you put in Kamala Harris when it was too late. Ball game was over already. It may have very well been a different story had you allowed her to start from the beginning, because Biden did say when he ran for president that he was going to be a one-termer. So in that sense, he should have been allowing the vice president to campaign for the last 2+ years. But no, he proclaimed that he's the only Democrat that can beat Trump. The power went to his head too. The audacity to say that nobody else could beat him, because if they got a fair start, I mean, I'm sure Gavin Newsom was sitting in the governor's mansion in California saying, "Wait a minute, give me a fair shot, I'll beat him." So is Wes Moore in Maryland. Yeah, exactly. Trixie says Democrats are soft and Republicans are no holds barred. They play with no rules. So that's been the problem. Nonetheless, here we are. The IRS is set to send approximately 1 million taxpayers $1,400 stimulus checks in the coming weeks. The money will be directly deposited into eligible people's bank accounts or sent in the mail by paper check. The checks come as the IRS said it's distributing about $2.4 billion to taxpayers who failed to claim a recovery rebate credit on their 2021 tax returns. People who missed one of the COVID stimulus payments or had received less than the full amount were able to claim the credit. Last week, the IRS said it discovered that many eligible taxpayers hadn't done so. They said, looking at our internal data, we realized that 1 million taxpayers overlooked claiming this complex credit when they were actually eligible. So, some folks, so how do you find out? Just go to now there's the IRS.gov, go to their official site. If you have an account there, you log into your account. If you don't have an account there, you can create an account. They will send you all the information through your email after you have initiated that, in which you can set up your account. Then you can go in and check. There is a line item in your account, your IRS account, that says economic stimulus payments 2020 and 2021. If one of those are empty, or for instance, one of them say 750 when you were supposed to get 1500, you're going to get that other $750. If this is empty, if it's zero, you're going to get the full $1500 or $1400 or whatever it is. And if both years are empty, you're going to get double the amount from the IRS. That's how you can easily find out if you are getting this. They said they are also mailing letters. So maybe you've gotten a letter. If you haven't gotten a letter, the best thing to do, I don't never, ever recommend trying to call them because they'll keep you on hold for like 50 hours. But the easiest way is to go into your official IRS website. Don't go to any other site, folks. They will steal your information, and next thing you know, you're in a worse situation than you are today. So go to the IRS's official website and go to individual accounts. And if you have one, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, just establish an individual account. It only takes a few minutes. They'll send you all of the information that you need to verify yourself through your personal email, and you'd have to verify your things like your social security number, et cetera, et cetera. Last 4 digits anyway, never your whole number. So you can find out if you are going to get this check. Mike B said, "Yeah, Biden put Kamala Harris in the bottom of the ninth and no runners on base with 2 outs." Right? Exactly. So, some folks might be getting $1,400 individual, or if you filed as a couple joint, you might be getting a nice little end of year bonus. So, so getting back to these posts. So Trump went after Obama, and somebody continues to say that several people have been saying this, and the only reason Trump ran for president in 2016 is because Obama had insulted him, told him he'd never be president. And Trump hasn't forgotten that. And so in his message, as you saw at the top of the show, if you missed it, he said, "Merry Christmas to all" on True Social. And then he shared a lengthy post where he says, uh, to the radical left lunatics in capital letters, as he always does. Um, and he says to the 37 most violent criminals that Biden he pardoned, or he actually didn't pardon them. He commuted their sentences, their death sentences, to life in prison. He told them to go to hell in capital letters, all caps. This was so, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Christmas, December 25th, is supposed to be like this day in which everybody is all merry and happy and cheerful, and not Donald Trump, who won the election, who should be beside himself with joy, who should be absolutely, he should have done. I'm surprised he didn't have a parade down in Florida. But he reels off 34 posts, 34 in a 1 hour period, no less. He put up a meme mocking Obama. It featured a photo of Trump smirking at Obama during his 2017 inauguration, along with the caption, "When you see the guy who said you'll never be president at your inauguration." See, this is why it's even more diabolical that Biden welcomed Trump to the White House, shook his hand, and said, "I'm going to his inauguration." It's just ridiculous. Obama went to the inauguration, and Trump making fun of the fact that Obama carried on a tradition of going to the inauguration. Making fun of it. Meanwhile, Biden, for his post on Christmas, he narrated a video tour of the White House's Christmas decorations, published on YouTube, and he urged Americans to set aside, quote, "all the noise and everything that divides us." He says, "We're here on this earth to care for one another, to love one another." The old man got it, right? He says, "Too often we see each other as enemies, not as neighbors, not as fellow Americans." He urged Americans to find a moment of quiet reflection, to remind themselves to treat each other with dignity and respect, to live in the light, he says. And remember, there was more to unite than divide. Not Donald Trump. Not Donald Trump. And Trump is also, he is extreme. He's about to implode. And you know who's going to get it from him? His biggest benefactor, Elon Musk. I mean, meme after meme after meme shows him subservient to Elon Musk. And he's getting so upset. He among the many posts, he says this needs to stop. And he says, Elon, stay in your lane. And another post that went up yesterday that showed him serving Elon in the White House, in the Oval Office. Trump was pretty much the butler. Trump lost it again. He said in bold letters, capital letters, enough of this. It's got to stop. I mean, but that wasn't nearly the worst of the Trump Elon Musk memes that have been floating around. It's been a lot, and the bad part about it, it's on Elon Musk's Twitter or X, and as much as he censors stuff, much as Elon censors things there, that anything goes on Twitter except if you are attacking Elon or mostly Trump. That's why so many people move to Blue Sky so they can freely attack Trump and get away from Elon. But he will not. He will not. Elon has not in any way, shape, or form, and I've looked for it, tried to shut down these countless memes. And some of them are, I mean, they put them in a uh trying to be tactful and saying a gay relationship where Trump is more of the feminine one. They put them in a parental child relationship. Well, of course,
You were
there's even one that shows in a
president
high.
of the U.S. last time I checked, right? But assume you are.
Not officially.
Not officially. Okay, so you're the unofficial
Unofficial.
president. So
But they put him in the high chair in the Oval Office with Musk behind the desk. Mike V says, "Stay in your lane." Where did he get that slang from? Congressman Donalds. Oh God! So if you ever want to s- to be amused by those memes, they're floating around everywhere. So Biden has vetoed a bipartisan effort, or what was once a bipartisan effort to add 66 federal district judgeships, saying, quote, hurried action by the House left important questions unanswered about the life tenured positions. The legislation would have spread the establishment of the new trial court judgeships over more than a decade to give 3 presidential administrations and 6 Congresses the chance to appoint the new judges. The bipartisan effort was carefully designed so that lawmakers wouldn't knowingly give an advantage to either political party in shaping the federal judiciary. The Democratic controlled Senate passed the measure unanimously in August, but the Republican led House brought it to the floor only after Donald Trump was reelected. And so Biden saw the political gamemanship and said, hey, wait a minute, we're not doing this. Um, so he said, you don't have enough to override my veto, so it's not happening. I do not want Trump in a position to put 66 new judges there. We know that Biden himself has now appointed a record number of judges, and he did so according to folks in the know because Trump had done the same during his administration. So Biden had to at least attempt to even things out. And so they're fighting over judges. They are definitely fighting over judges. And Ty, we have to say this, that Biden has appointed a record number of Black judges, including a record number of Black female judges. So that's something, right? Right, Ty? I mean, I guess Ty's like, I don't care about that. Again, I'm not a criminal, so how's that helping me? Oh boy, yes, David. They wanted, so that's what it came down to. Biden read the room. He understood that they wanted to give these 66 appointments to Donald Trump. Wow. At the next few weeks, folks, we're gonna see what happens. Got a few weeks left. Um, I guess everyone will. I guess everyone will brace themselves because whether you in anticipation of what Biden may or may not do over the next 3 weeks, certainly everyone's anticipating what is going to happen starting on January 20th. Ty is asking, how does he support our channel with a donation? Please just at this point, watch and share among your friends and family and loved ones, and even the ones you don't like. Just share it among them. We really would appreciate that, Ty. We appreciate you joining. Let it be known, and keep watching. We'll bring you some more tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, so maybe we'll have some a little bit of entertainment or something. Okay. Because all of this stuff, it's holidays. We don't want to be too heavy for the holidays. So everybody wants to go on the journeys with some good stuff. So we're going to try and bring you some good stuff. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.